What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So in this video, we're going to talk about proposals. Proposals, man. Proposal for Donald Trump to have a third term. I know. Of course, this was going to be done. So thank you for joining me. Consider subscribing, like, share, share, comment if you like the content that we have here. And please consider checking out my other channels, JMD Drummer, JMDPLAY. Great channels. You know, you should go check them out. You should subscribe. You should like and comment and share and all that good stuff there too. JD, JMD Nation, Discord there if you want to, get into conversations of all the channels or whatever. You can access all of it there. One-time donation QR there, or JMD Nation Patreon up at the top. For $3 a month. Anything you do is much appreciated, so thank you very much. So, all right. So yes, we had this, come up way before, he was even elected. The concerns and stuff of them trying to, everybody's been concerned of him doing what he could to become a dictator, or to find a way to stay in office, or whatever the case. Trump, of course, has been kind of wishy-washy on it, if you could, to a degree. When asked recently about, like, would he go for a third term if allowed, he was saying, he was kind of like, it was kind of like this wishy-washy kind of answer, like, I mean, no, I'm not really, I don't think that'll happen. I'm not looking forward or whatever, but I mean, unless something happened, unless something changed. He kind of threw that kind of caveat out there, and lo and behold, we have a proposal by a Republican. So, a Republican has introduced a joint resolution in Congress designed to allow President Donald Trump to serve a third term, while including a caveat that would prevent. I don't know why this writer specifically targeted Barack Obama. I mean, I do know why, but, well, I don't know why he specifically targeted Barack Obama, but either way, he does. Although he does include other presidents further in. While including a caveat that would prevent someone like Barack Obama, is what he should have said here, from running again for the White House. The proposal was introduced on Thursday by Representative Andy Ogles, I don't know, from Tennessee, who said this amendment would allow President Trump to serve 3 terms, ensuring that we can sustain the bold leadership our nation so desperately needs. The 22nd Amendment imposed a 2-term limit per person on the presidency. Why it matters. Trump joked about running for a third term during an address to House Republicans shortly after his November election win, where he said, "I suspect I won't be running again unless you do something." Okay, sorry, I was a little bit off, but it was right there in the ballpark. "I suspect I won't be running again unless you do something." During the election campaign, Democrats focused heavily on the threat they argued Trump posed to American democracy, with Harris claiming the Republican nominee, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist. If Trump openly supports a constitutional amendment allowing him to run for a third term, these concerns would be elevated through a section of his base, though a section of his base would likely back the move. What to know? Ogles, whatever the hell his name is. Resolution would alter the 22nd Amendment to read, "No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than 3 times, nor be elected to any additional term after being elected to 2 consecutive terms and no person who has held the office of presidency or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Sounds confusing, I know, but currently what you have is um, no person can be elected to office president more than twice. Okay, regardless of whether it's consecutive or not. And the where the second part comes in, where it talks about or acting as president for more than 2 terms, where you have an instance where maybe a president for some reason cannot fulfill their presidency term for whatever the reason. This has happened in the past. Someone's assassinated, whatever the case, and somebody take the place, be it the vice president or the Congress, head of Congress. If as long as they don't continue the presidency for more, if they're continuing the previous president, the one that was elected to office, if they are covering more than 2 of the 4 years, okay, then they are then they can't serve. I think it's if it's under 2 years, then it's not considered a part of the 2-year limit. If it's over 2 years, then that term, that acting as president term, is considered the first term. Therefore, they can only go for president one more term. Okay, or become president one more term. Is the way I think that it's understood, or the way that it states. Okay, I hope that wasn't confusing. Okay, if they take over the presidency and it's taken over for less than 2 years, then that's not considered a full term. It's not considered, a first term. You're just finishing the one that was elected to the office. You're just finishing that term. You can then go on to be president 2 times. If it's over 2 years, then you can only be president 1 time. All right. So what he's trying to do here is they're trying to change it to where, and that doesn't really change. But what does change is no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than 3 times. So they're allowing for 3 times, but only if they're separated. In the case of Trump, this is which is the caveat. If somebody has back-to-back consecutive presidencies, they can't go for a 3rd consecutive. That's the argument here. Or they can't go for a 3rd period, even at a later date. Which, in my opinion, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, and that's the reason why they're pointing this out. But this also doesn't just apply to Barack Obama. He was just the last president that this would apply to. The most recent one he would apply to. But as he goes on to say, this also would apply to George W. Bush and even Bill Clinton. So Axios supporter noted that this would allow Trump to run for a 3rd term, but not Obama, George W. Bush, or Bill Clinton, all of whom have already been elected for 2 consecutive terms. So that's what they're arguing here. And if you think about it that way, that's not really fair. If the 3rd term is non-consecutive, then it shouldn't matter whether it was before or after consecutive terms. I mean, if you're going to say that they can do no more than 3 terms, but see, they're playing it only in the idea of for Trump getting another term. That's the point. In April 2024, Trump told Time magazine he wouldn't support a constitutional amendment allowing him to run for a 3rd term. This was in April of last year. Understand that when he said this up here, This was just after the November election. So this is the most recent thing said. So clearly he is teasing that he's open to the idea. I wouldn't be in favor of a challenge, not for me. I wouldn't be in favor of it at all. I intend to serve 4 years and do a great job, and I want to bring our country back. I want to put it back on the right track. That was his argument in April. And then, of course, they just throw in here that a YouGov survey conducted April 9th through 12th of 2024. Oh, sorry, August 9th through 12th of 2024 found 53% of Americans said they would have been either somewhat likely or very likely to vote for Obama if he had been on the presidential ballot. I don't know how accurate that really is, but it's probably, it could be very much. I mean, Obama was a favorite president, although I didn't particularly care for him. At least in some aspects, I didn't care for him. But anyway, speaking to Newsweek, what are people saying? An American political expert who teaches at the University of UK, the first week of the second Trump presidency has already been a time of high action and high drama. And it is no surprise that a Republican representative fueled by the heady fumes of executive and congressional power should propose an amendment to the Constitution to allow Donald Trump to run for a third term in the White House. Heady stuff, but with no chance of success. A congressional amendment requires a supermajority, which we went over this about the birthright. This is the reason why this will more than likely not come to pass. This is just wishful thinking for the part of Representative Ogles, whatever. It's a visible way of showing his fealty to the president, but one that highlights that there is still checks on Trump's power. The Ogles, whatever guy, commented President Trump's decisive leadership stands in stark contrast to the chaos, suffering, and economic decline Americans have endured over the past 4 years. He has proven himself to be the only figure in modern history capable of reversing our nation's decay and restoring America to greatness. And we must be given the time necessary to accomplish that goal. To that end, I am proposing an amendment to the Constitution to revise the limitations imposed by the 22nd Amendment of the presidential terms. This amendment would allow President Trump to serve 3 terms, ensuing that we must sustain the bold leadership our nation so desperately needs. So, yes. But there again, to amend this, you have to have 2/3 majority vote from both chambers of Congress or the support of 2/3 of state legislatures via a national convention. Ratification, that's the word I was looking for earlier. Ratification then requires the backing of 3/4. 2/3 of legislation for the vote, and then ratification requires the backing of 3/4 of state legislatures or state special conventions. Given the Republicans' narrow majority in both House and Senate, this is likely not going to happen. So yes, this is one of those things that this is one way they're going to attempt this. Clearly, though, it is very unlikely to go into effect or be able to even get past the Congress. So but it does highlight the thinking of people behind Trump and behind this administration and what they want. They want him in there as long as possible, even though he already is now the oldest president to ever take office. So think about that. Very interesting. We knew they were going to try, but it would take one hell of a legal path to make that happen. Now, does he attempt to do it illegally? I guess we'll wait and see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think there's a threat of that? What do you think will happen with this? Is there anything else, ideas that they might try, an attempt? I don't know. Let me know. Until next time, peace. Clear Talk.